Hi everybody and welcome to another of our Monday Mode videos where we demonstrate some typical HR meetings with the help of our friends in business. I'm Lisa from Cube HR and today we're joined by Martin from Astley Hire. With many businesses having to make budget cuts and really looking at what their employees are doing at work, we've been asked a lot recently about exiting poor performing employees from the business. One of the key questions is, can they be made redundant? Now, if you've been keeping up with our advice, you'll know that it's not usually a safe method, as performance is not a legitimate or legal reason for redundancy. An alternative could be a settlement agreement. So in our demonstration today, Martin is playing the role of a poor performing employee who's been approached by Claire, as his manager, about having a without prejudice conversation. And as always, I'll act as narrator at key points. So let's get started.
Hi Martin, thanks for coming along today. I just want to confirm that you understand what a without prejudice conversation is and that you're still happy to carry on. So a without prejudice discussion basically means that our conversation today is confidential and it can't be referred to in a court of law down the line. Are you all right to carry on with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
So whilst you should have already explained the without prejudice status when you invited your employee to discussion, it's worth reiterating it here to make sure everybody is clear.
Thanks. So we've spoken on a few occasions about you not meeting your performance targets, and we've recently invited you to a disciplinary hearing regarding your performance. As previously, every time we've offered you training, you've said you don't need it and that you'll try harder. But to be honest, Martin, the situation just isn't getting any better.
So for a without prejudice conversation to be protected and not admissible in tribunal, a dispute has to exist between the parties. So in this instance, the dispute is the potential disciplinary action.
So what the company would like to do instead is to offer you...
Now we get asked a lot, what should that settlement payment be? So as a starter, we suggest looking at what they'd be entitled to if you were making them redundant, but then you need to add an extra amount on to sweeten the deal. Now this amount is tax-free up to £30,000. You should have a clear amount in your head that you want to go to as a maximum. And remember, at this point, the discussion's only, so expect the employee to perhaps ask for more. Be clear beforehand about what you're offering. And in addition to this, you'll have to pay a contractual notice, and that's subject to the usual deductions, plus any outstanding holiday pay.
So on top of that amount, you'd also have your notice period, and we wouldn't expect you to work that. We'd actually pay you in lieu of that notice period. Plus, you'd also get any holidays you've accrued but you've not taken. They'd be paid through to you as well, provided that you agreed.
Now, with regards to that notice, there are some options. You might want to pay them in lieu, as Claire suggests here, or you might want to put the employee in garden leave. You could, of course, ask them to work their notice, but you're removing them from your business for a reason, so this probably wouldn't be the most practical arrangement. At the moment, you could also leave them on furlough for their notice if they are currently on furlough, making sure you pay them 100% of their wage, although you can claim some of this back on the Coronavirus Job Retention Scheme.
So I've prepared a draft document for you to take away and have a think about. Do you have any questions so far?
No, not really. I need to have a think about it and probably speak to my solicitor.
Yeah, of course. Oh, and I forgot to mention as well that we will pay up to £500 for your legal fees to get this signed off, presuming that you were to agree to it.
Oh, right, okay. How long do I have to consider it?
Well, I think a week seems fair, don't you? So you could have paid time off as well to think about it. And how about we reconvene on Friday afternoon?
Yeah, that's not a problem.
So you do need to give your employees some time to consider the implications of what you're offering. After all, you're asking them to sign away any right to take you to a tribunal. So let's rejoin Claire and Martin in their follow-up conversation a week later.
Hi Martin, how are you?
I'm okay, thanks.
Excellent, that's great. Just to reconfirm with you that this is a without prejudice discussion and you're still happy to continue?
Yeah.
Great, thank you. So what are your thoughts on the settlement so far?
I've got a few concerns. The first one about my car. I know it's not mine, but I've been using the company car to get around, so I don't own my own car right now. It's going to take me time for me to sort out some transport.
Now, whilst that company car might not be a contractual benefit, you need to consider this carefully. Can you allow the use of the car for a set period of time, or do you need to increase your settlement to take into account the need to buy a new vehicle? We're going to assume that Claire and Martin have now discussed this and have agreed on the first course of action.
Anything else, Martin?
Well, I think the amount that you're offering is a bit too low, really. I've worked for you for 7 years, and I feel that I've worked hard. It seems a bit insulting, the amount that you're offering me.
If you followed the guidance as to the amount to offer, you should be able to explain this. Of course, you might want to start off a little lower with a view to negotiating the amount with the employee. This is a two-way negotiation, not a closed conversation. The more you can negotiate with the employee so that you both feel happy, the more likely they are to sign the agreement.
Also, my solicitor says it's going to cost more like £800 plus VAT for them to do this, but you're only offering me £500 towards their costs.
So depending on the region that you're in, you might need to flex this amount. We've known solicitors charge anything between £250 to £1,200 for settlement agreements. We do know a solicitor we could recommend that charges £500. So in this interest, we could express that to the employee and offer them the choice of either using our recommended solicitor or incurring the rest of the cost themselves to use their own.
Any other concerns you want to discuss?
Do I really need to use a solicitor in that case, or could I just sign the agreement if I agree to it?
This is a common question that we get asked by both employers and employees. The point to note here is that if the employee weren't to seek legal advice and just sign the agreement, they could take you to court and claim they didn't know what they were signing. By getting a solicitor involved, the solicitor vouchers that they have explained the consequences and details of the agreement and that the employee has full understanding of what they're signing. A small price to pay for that peace of mind.
Okay, well, it sounds like you're happy with the deal in principle then.
Yeah, I think it sounds okay, to be honest. So when would my employment end?
Yeah, of course. Well, I think we would end it as soon as you've signed your part of the agreement with your solicitor and we've signed ours. So I think a week from today might be enough time to do that. I mean, again, I'm happy for you to take some paid leave during this time, so you don't need to come into the office.
So, okay then, what do you want me to do with my laptop and the keys to the office if I'm not going to come back to work?
Well, I'll arrange a date for someone to come and collect it all from you, if that's all right.
All right, yeah, that sounds fine.
So it sounds like Claire and Martin have agreed on a deal. Martin now takes this to his solicitor who will sort out the signatures. But what would have happened if they couldn't reach an agreement? The other alternatives at this point would be to look at that disciplinary action or performance management, so you'd need to start the relevant process in line with your company procedures. So there you have it. Settlement agreements can be a safe, if costly, way to exit employees from the business if a dispute exists. If you are considering a settlement, we would always recommend you speak to us first so that we can advise you if it's the right course of action. Thank you.